Hello everyone, welcome to More Guitar Please. Today I'm going to take you through the sections of Goodbye Yesterday. We're going to be doing a walkthrough of that song. Let's just talk about hardware, guitar stuff, and then what I'm running my guitar into first. This is a D'Angelico Deluxe Atlantic. It's got humbuckers, and it's just a beautiful finish of a guitar. This is a white finish. It's kind of an Olympic or a natural white. I've had this guitar for over a decade, and other than, occasionally have to clean the pots in it, I've never had any issues with it whatsoever. It's a bit on the heavier side, so be mindful of that, but it's just a good Les Paul style rock and roll type guitar. Again, that's the D'Angelico Deluxe Atlantic. I'm running this into Fractal FM9, and I'm using the Mesa Triple Crown emulation for the amp, and a little bit of drive, probably a lot more drive than Elevation Rhythm uses on their song, but that's okay. All right, let's get down to it. So the lion's share of this song is a drone riff, and I'm gonna play it for you. 1, 2, ready, play. So that's pretty much what's going on through more than half of the song. What I've chosen to do is, like I said in my last playthrough, I like to get creative, so I've changed up a few things, and we'll talk about those. But so that drone riff, and I'm going to dispense with all the fingerings and the frets and the strings I play for this. Just suffice it to say that on this first one, on the drone riff, you really want some string damping throughout the song when you're playing this section with your index finger. You want 3, 2, and 1 to be covered up there. I actually like to have my thumb on 6. Muting 6 out. That way, if you get a little crazy with your right hand, you're still covered with string damping. That's probably one of the biggest things about playing electric guitar, is there's a lot of ways to make it sound not so good, but only a few to make it sound right or perfect. And a lot of that has to do with string damping with your left hand. So you also need a good amount of control with your right hand, because we're just hitting on strings 5 and 4. It plays through that first section 3 times, and then turns around to what I would call for the 4th time, what I would call like a 4 chord. Again, guitar tuned down half a step. I'm talking in the key of A. I'm not going to try to explain it in A flat. That would be super confusing. So we have this part 3 times, and then the 4th time. And that's pretty much it for the drone riff, and that, again, that appears in like 80% of the song. Now they play that on the intro and the verse, and then on the turnaround, before they get to the first chorus, you hear some pianos come in. I decide to dispense with the drone riff at that point, and I just go to an E-shaped A chord on the 5th fret, but I'm not playing the 1 and the 5. I'm getting rid of the lower tones there and just going for that crunchier top of A chord, the higher octave of it. And what I'm doing there also is I'm playing with my pinky on string 1. Those notes. That changes it up a little bit, and so when we return from that into the verse again with the drone riff, I think it kind of reintroduces the freshness of how cool that riff sounds. All right, when we get into chorus 1A, again and again part, I'm not doing the drone riff. I'm doing an arpeggiated thing, which is different than what they do in the song. And I am not going to explain this one either. I'm just going to get close enough to where you can see it. It's a bit complex. It requires some string damping and some string skipping. But I really like the way that it sounds in the first chorus. So this is how we would do this. That's that section of the chorus. So let's try that a little slower. And you'll want on that part as well, this is just a kind of a little technical bit to help you along with that, is you don't want each of the notes that you're playing to ring into the next note. So you want to apply some pressure and then kind of lift your finger. So let's practice that one to a metronome. 1, 2, ready, play. And then right there, we return back to the drone riff. And it kind of keeps it, in my opinion, fresh by breaking it up like that. Okay, so chorus 1A, the first time to the chorus, like I said, is the arpeggiated riff. The second time through the chorus, the guitar is out. And all we have is some piano work. However, this is a kind of an important thing. My son's drum instructor says, and I think this is such a good quote. He says, play the rests. Well, if you don't know how to count and you don't know how to count your rhythms, it's going to be really hard in this specific spot to hit these chuck rhythms that they hit. And so in order to do that, you got to play the rest. Well, what does playing the rest mean? It means that you're counting in your head and you're feeling the pulse while the music is moving along, and yet you're not musically doing anything on your instrument until it's time to hit the and 4-end part before it turns back around to the chorus 1B repeat. So we're going to work on that a little bit because I think that's important. Guitar players really struggle with, myself included, noodling the heck out of their instrument in parts where they just need to not be playing. Not playing doesn't mean that you're taking a break. It just means that you're playing the rest. You're feeling the pulse. The music is moving through you. And then when it's time to come back in with those chuck rhythms, you know exactly where they are. Let's talk a little bit about what a chuck rhythm is. Finger is resting lightly. I think it should be probably on string 7 because there's a little bit of, and it's hard to do, harmonic content that you can get in that chuck if you do it right. But you don't want it Pac-Man-y, okay? You just want a tight up, down, up. And that up is an and, the down is 4, and the last up before we turn back around to the repeat chorus is an and 4-and. All right, so here we go. Let's count that section. So again, we're coming out and we're coming into this chorus 1B repeat and we're resting. 1, 2, ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so you get the idea. You know, look on some drummer pages and some YouTube tutorials for how to count rhythms, especially eighths and sixteenths, triplets, and quarters. If you can count those subdivisions and feel the pulse of those in your music, it makes you a much tighter guitar player. Speaking of that, after we get out of that section, we turn around to the chorus repeat. We begin to play, and I diverge from what Elevation is doing here once again. I'm kind of using my ear, and I'm calling these fifth riffs. I like them. Again, if you saw my last walkthrough on I Know a Name, I like rock music and I like to use fifths quite a bit. But so I'm playing. That is my section there on the chorus 1B repeat. Did a horrible job on that trim picking there, but that's all right. So that's what I do there on the chorus 1B repeat is I play the fifth riffs, and then I hit the tremolo picking on string 3, fret 14, and then fret 21, playing those A and E notes. Why did I stay on the same string on that? Well, that's a really good question if you ask it, because I could have went... and actually, that actually sounded better than the other one. So the reason I usually don't is because if you're trim picking in a certain spot and you've got those kind of rotations with the pick going, to move a little bit can sometimes get you off on the trim picking and kind of mess that up. So I like to stay in the same string lane when I do that. So again, I'm on 12 and 21 playing the A and E. Again, guitar tuned down half a step. I'm speaking relative to standard tuning. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to play through the chorus 1B. We won't do the chucks again. I'll play through the chorus 1B and do the arpeggiate, or not the arpeggiations, but the trim picking. 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, so that turns us back around to a new section of the song, my favorite part of the song, the bridge. In this section, once again, counting is super important because the accents of the music have shifted. When I first heard it, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I tried to play it, not having ever played it before. And I'm like, whoa, I need to dig into this a little bit. So what's going on here? It's pretty simple, actually. It's just the accents of the chord hits are quarter hits, and they're on the A chord and then the B chord, the B power chord. And what's going on there is they're hitting on the beat 1 and the beat 2, and then you're holding that out for the duration of, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how you play that section. Now, you'll probably notice that on the 6-5-4, the F sharp minor, E to D chords, I just play dyads there a lot of times. And what I mean by dyad is a 2-string thing. On this particular one, I'm using index and middle to grab strings 5 and 4 at fret 4. That's my F sharp minor. And then my E, and then playing it open is my D. I do that twice through the bridge. 3rd and 4th times, I play higher up on those dyads. That's the 3rd time, and then on the 4th time, I play that little riff that takes us back into what I would call bridge 2, where it's really getting intense. But we're going to play that to a metronome here in just a minute. Let me explain also on this. Why counting is so important is because the pulse, the feel of the song is kind of taking on a different personality. And when you're punching those 1 and 2 chords, if you're not hitting them super tight, the whole band is going to know it, and you are too. It can be just kind of like, oh man, I didn't practice enough, and now I realize it. So you want to get good at those things, and that's what I mean by this channel. I want to help people show up with excellence on Sunday morning. I certainly see nothing wrong whatsoever. Although we're volunteers, it says in the scripture that everything that we do to Jesus, we do unto him. It talks about that in Colossians. So practice. And when you're done practicing, practice some more. You can never be practiced up enough to play these songs and to worship the Lord. Okay, so let's play through this 4 times. I'm going to play it exactly like I play it on the playthrough. We're going to play with a metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, ready, play. And that takes us to our next drone riff. Let me explain that a little bit there, though. I forgot to mention, when I go to on the bridge section, when I go to the bridge and we're on the 3rd time, we go 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think in there a couple of times, instead of playing, I do the octave of that note. So that would sound like this. Let's just hit that again, just so you can kind of understand what I'm doing. I'm going to play the 3rd and the 4th times through the bridge so you can kind of fill out, because the intensity of the bridge is picking up. I like to really dive in and kind of dig in and just make it sound more rock and roll. So this would be the 3rd and the 4th bridges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, ready, play. Okay, so that turns us back around to another drone riff. And again, since we were doing something different, the riff becomes fresh again. And it's such a well-written guitar part. It reminds me a lot of so many 90s songs that I really loved. And at that point, I wasn't playing guitar, but I thought it was such a cool sound on the instrument. Okay, so on this particular drone riff, because of what the drums are doing, they're really accenting the quarters the first time through, and then the first and the second time. And then I think the second time through, it really starts pumping up with the floor tom and the 8s. And so instead of playing it the straight way, and I think Elevation they still play it straight there, I really just start digging into the 8s. So they would probably play it like this, play it the normal way. On this particular part of the song, I prefer to play it like that. And I back up to the D, C, A octaves there on the 3rd time. And on the 4th time, I slide up to the higher A to kind of give that little part an ending, so to speak. And then we turn around to to chorus 1B, again and again section. And we have some what I would call stop rhythms where we're accenting the pulse and the music is stopping as we're accenting. So the way that I play those are on string 1. And frets, I said I was going to dispense with calling out the frets, but I think it's kind of important on this one. When you're, oh, by the way, when you're playing that on string 1, frets 2, 4, and 5, mute that thing because it sounds, especially if you got the delay going on the quarters and you're hitting it tight, it gives it a really percussive and melodic feel at the same time. And I think they have more delay repeats on. I've got my delay quite low so I can teach while it's still going and it not completely annoy me. And I do some chucks there too that they don't do. They keep all that stuff really clean and then hit the stop real tight. I just like to put a couple of chucks in there. I don't know why. So the way that that section works, and I'm going to play this whole section to a metronome. And let me just say before I get into this section, we play it 4 times and then that turns around to post-chorus. And in the post-chorus, there's a little bit of vocal embellishment going on there at the first of that particular section from the chorus 1B into the post-chorus. This is kind of a, not really a hard song per se, but it has different subsections that if you don't know the whole tune top to bottom, you could kind of get lost in it. So when we're going from chorus 1B, what I'm calling chorus, this with the stop rhythms, into post-chorus, a lot of times I've found vocalists when they're doing a song that's a modern worship song and we're doing a version of it and say in that particular section of the song there are vocal embellishments. Sometimes the vocalist won't necessarily hit those embellishments, and it can really feel like that if they don't, that the energy of the song is kind of sucking out of it for a smidgen. And that's not what we want, especially in this section of the song, because it is incredibly intense after these bridges into this post-chorus. So what I've chosen to do there is do a little bit of a guitar solo. Again, if your vocalists really are singing out there, you might not be able to pull this off without somebody saying, "Hey, quit showing off on your instrument," or whatever. But I think if they aren't playing, you could pull this out. And that's just at the end of the post-chorus. So now, not to belabor the point, I'm going to play this whole thing from the stop rhythms out into the post-chorus solo, which turns us back around to a drone riff again. 1, 2, ready, play. Repeat. And then we go into another section of drone riffs. I forgot to mention the second part of, and this is getting confusing, I apologize. The second part of the stop rhythm, you're wanting to do octaves up here. So I'm doing an F sharp octave on strings 5 and 3 on the 9th fret, then the 11th, then the 13th, sorry, 12th. That's F sharp, G sharp, A. And then we're dropping to strings 4 and 2. And we're going from 12th to 11th. Also on your string 4-2 octaves, it's no longer 3 frets, it's 4. So that's important. And on that one, we're sliding up from 9 to 11th, from B to C sharp notes. So that whole part of that. Then I hit the D octave, and then I trim pick out of that into the solo part. And that takes us back to the drone riff. Keep in mind, on this drone riff, they don't play the first motif 3 times. They play it once and then turn around to the 4 chord. And then they play it once again and then turn around to the 4 chord again. So after that, I kind of like to change it up a little bit. And so we've played the drone riff, and I'm wanting to do some finger tapping. It's nothing too expansive, but it's nothing too expansive, but again, it's in kind of a section where there's vocal embellishments going on. And so I think it would be okay to do that, to kind of fill the space if the vocalists that you're playing the song with aren't necessarily singing out there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play the drone riff into that particular section of the fret tapping. And that takes us to the very last section of the song before the end. What I've chosen to do there is you can hear kind of the melody starting at a certain point and going up in sections of 3, like they're starting on the 3rd note of the key of A, the C sharp, again, relative to standard tuning. Da, 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 da. Then they go to the 4 note and they go up 3. They go D, E, F sharp. Then the 5 note up 3, E, F sharp, G sharp. And then they turn around with octaves on, oh gosh, I don't know, D, C sharp, A, there. So that would be 17th, 15th, 17th, 16th, 12th, D, C sharp, A. So that section, after you've done the drone riff and then the finger tapping if you want to, and you don't have to do my part if you don't want to, just play the drone riff, and then we go to this octave part. But it sounds like this, and I'm just going to play it out as it would be on the song. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. So you'll notice there, I play it the first time through like I showed you, like normal, but on the second time, the snare drum, I like to play kind of accent what the drummer is doing. The snare is hitting bam, 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 once lived in. Dancing on the grave, once lived in. It's hitting those. I want to peel out of that octave part and hit power chords there. The power chords that you want to hit are the A, and then the B power chord. The next one gets a bit tricky. If you try to hit the C sharp power chord, you got a note out of key in there, so you need to come to this A with a C sharp in the bass chord to do that. And then you can to the 4th chord to end the song. So let's hit that whole section there. 1, 2, ready, play. Once lived in, dancing in the graveyard. Thank you so much for investing your time into this video. I hope it's been a help to you. If you can play all the parts through here, you're going to really rock it on Sunday morning. Thanks again.